All right, welcome back, everyone. Another episode, Second Look Sports Show. Welcome back this week. We missed last week, so we're happy to be back. All three of us again. Feels like the summer. Everyone's all over the place. But not much going on last week. We're starting to move the needle a little bit more. We're recording this during MLB trade deadline, so I feel like we might be able to break a trade, even though by the time this is listened to, you're like, okay, guys, we already know this came out. So you're just going to get our live reactions. I'm Alex Mandarino. We got Brandon Brown. We got Justin Arnberg. Let's just start with weeks. Like, how's everybody doing? Brandon, let's go to you first. Like, how's the week going? You worked early shifts last week. We were talking off recording. How's that been?
Yeah, no, my week's going pretty well so far. Can't complain too much. Kind of back working with JD Bunkus now for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, like you said, last week I was working the drive shift in the morning, and it's tough, 6 to 9, and you got to be up pretty early, 4:30-ish for me, and that was quite the experiment. But it's fun. You realize by the end of it you can do it, and you kind of see a way forward if that was ever something that I was going to take on permanently. But for now, happy to be back at a normal hour for sure. But just getting through the week with the MLB trade deadline's been pretty great this week. So it's been a lot to follow. So can't complain.
Yeah, you've had you're done at 9 a.m. is the thing you're saying. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you got to probably go to bed early, but to be done at 9 a.m. and to have the whole day, you're basically coming home from work when everybody else is in the midst of their first hour. So that's pretty fascinating. I can imagine. Justin, over to you, man. What's going on? How you been? You had a couple of videos came out within the past few weeks. You've been a busy guy. What's happened over there?
First off, Brandon, so no breakfast television career for you, or what?
I mean, I don't think I'm the type of guy who would be able to do that and keep it up as a career or as a semi-permanent or permanent position.
Yeah.
I think
I
you
think
can do it
at
for
2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Usually.
Those guys, yeah. I mean, they're on the air by 5 a.m. I think, right? So it's
that's insane.
It's quite the life. I think you live.
Well, you go to bed. Yeah, you go to bed at 10 o'clock at them.
Probably latest.
Absolutely
Absolute
latest. I would hope if you really want to be up and rested and giving it your all and feeling good in the morning. Yeah, you probably in bed. Some cases 7, 8 o'clock. I'm sure some of those people are in bed. Like if you just figure
probably
it out.
For the older people. Probably for the older people.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, good week. We're 5-0 in softball. We're the undefeated team.
Wow.
We're just unbelievable at softball. Apparently, the team just hit a vibe, and we've been rolling. Everyone's on a hot streak. The average. Talk about finding the average. Well, we're way above it, so we're expecting a little cool down here eventually, where the bats are gonna go dry. But yeah, so far so good this season. Other than that, like you said, staying busy with off-season content for NHL every friggin' day. And yeah, trying to work on other things as well. But yeah, it's a slow but fun summer so far. I know August is gonna pick up. I have a bunch of things I have to do. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy second month of the summer.
That's okay.
How about
That's
yourself,
good.
Mando?
Yeah, I actually, outside of being 5-0, which was fun, we did hit a bit of a snag midway through our most recent game on Tuesday, which was everyone dial in, let's get the bats going, let's make some good offensive plays. I missed a couple in the outfield. I've been placed basically in left field permanently for pretty good precision, and I was completely off my game this past Tuesday.
Yeah, there was one that
I was by.
It was such a high pop fly too. That I was watching Mando. I'm sitting on I was it was my turn to sit, and I was sitting on the bench. I'm watching Mando try and track this ball, and at the very last second I can see he's got no idea where this ball is, and it literally drops 5 feet behind him or something like that. And it felt pretty bad.
Yeah, it was tough. Listen, but you just gotta pick your socks up. We've seen the Jays hit the snag, and so every team goes through it. We'll talk about that shortly. But yesterday night, recording this Thursday, so Wednesday night, I went to a restaurant called Penny's. It's a little random. It's right in the middle of the suburb area in Liberty Village. Yeah. They have all you can eat like sliders and tater tots. So you go in, you pay like a certain fee, and then they keep bringing food, right? Like for as long as you can eat it. Obviously, that's all you can eat. I'm explaining a very basic concept. The sliders, like I don't have an image. Maybe we can throw it like in the pod, or we can just put it on our socials or something. They're like, half the size of a burger. Like everyone's seen what a slider is. And so they bring food. They start each person off with 4 and 1 set of like tater tots. And I went through 8 sliders and basically 2 sets of tater tots. We'll just average it all out. That was pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. We had to walk it off for like a good 2,000-3,000 steps afterwards because I was not okay. I felt pregnant, like walking down the street, just like completely full. But it was worth it. Good food and like good vibes there. It was indoors. So we weren't sitting in the sun. It wasn't like we were getting pelted with sun. Would do it again, but would probably prepare better. Just like all water diet 24 hours beforehand, just to make sure that there was more room in there. What do you guys think is the max number of like sliders that a person has eaten in one sitting at that all you can eat place before? I had 8. I'm wondering what everyone's thoughts are.
55.
Oh my God.
I mean, I was thinking like 30. I don't know. Like,
I guess.
You think
it's hard.
Did they tell you?
They did. Now I feel like you guys went way past. It was 17. It was only 17.
That's still impressive. That's pretty impressive, but I don't know.
Like I could put down 17 of those.
I've also never seen what they like. How big are we talking? Like hand? I don't know. So
I'm looking them up right now.
I'm holding my mic.
Yeah, they're not that big.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, yeah.
I wouldn't have eaten more than 5. I don't know. I can't eat a lot.
Trust me, it's a solid amount. 17 is a lot. Joey Chestnut obviously could probably put back 55. Like we'll give him credit for that. But like an average person.
How many things do you think how many hot dogs do you think you could put down in 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes? Like
3.
Like 20. 3? Yeah.
That's
really?
it.
Bro, I can't eat fast. I gotta eat slow.
Wow. At least you're being honest. Yeah, I feel like it would be like somewhere between 15 to 25. I feel like for me.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
You don't think?
Dogs just go down like water.
There's no way you guys are getting up to the. If
yeah.
You can maybe do that in one sitting, but I don't think you could do it in 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes?
I think I could. Because like you got to trick the brain. It doesn't think you're actually full until like 15 minutes later.
That is true.
If I'm 10 minutes in and I'm just going ham, I'm going to be okay.
Oh, man. 20. I did say 20.
Maybe.
I'm saying 15 to 25. Like,
I believe in you guys. You can do it.
No, I might temper my expectations and say like 12. Like just over 1 a minute. Because like you get full, like you start to get full. It's not just like, oh, I can physically finish this hot dog in 60 seconds.
Like, it's bread and bun, but the small one, obviously not the big one.
Not like the footlongs or anything.
The official Nathan's, or whatever they use for the
Schneider or whatever. We use Schneider. Is it
up in Canada? We use
I don't know if you can get Nathan's here.
Yeah.
Or Johnsonville.
That would be our official one, I think. But yeah, I mean. That's crazy.
It was fun.
Put down 5, and I think I'm gonna go there and just try and get 6 at least.
I had 8.
Oh, you had 8. Okay, well I'm gonna do at least 10 then.
All right. Listen, man, if you ever do, you'll have to keep us posted on how you actually do. Because right now it's all talk. As far as I'm concerned.
I will go down next week maybe.
Alex, did you know the most that you said they told you? Did you know that going in? Did you find out after? Because I'm interested to know if you went in and you ate your 8, and then you were like, "Wow, that's pretty." Like, were you like happy with that? Did you think it was going to be a lot more too, or what were?
So I asked like when we were getting the bill. So I'm like, oh, you want to sometimes make conversation with like, rather than the waitress standing there like kind of pretending to not look. I was like, oh, hey, like I'm actually curious. I kind of went in with like a goal of like, oh, maybe I'll have like, I think I said around 8 to 10 was kind of my thought. They start you with 4, and then they just bring you 2 every time. They're like, oh, do you want another round? So they bring you 2. Because I guess they're trying to say, like, we're not going to bring you 4 every time. Let's say you eat 5, then we've just wasted 3, sort of thing. So I was like, it's going to be an even number because I'm not going to ever leave 1. That'd be crazy. So I said, I think around 8 to 10, and 8 was like I'm not even enjoying it anymore. I just need to get this last one off the plate for like pride's sake. So yeah, I was happy, but I was not coming close to 17.
Well, whoever had 17 left 1. So
that's a good point.
You get to that point, I guess, right?
There's an asterisk, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm looking. It's a really good price. For a limited. Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm gonna do that.
It's like $18-20 per person, right? Something like that.
We've got 2 seatings for you to choose from, though. Like, what is that?
Yeah, I think timing, like 6 o'clock, 8:30, something like that. And it's only on Wednesdays, so keep an eye out.
Is that just what everybody's there for then? Everybody's getting those sliders like at that time?
Surprisingly not. Like I think they just they reserve the inside for that, and then the outside is just for like regular people.
The general public.
Basically,
the non-slider eaters.
They eat normally and like humans do, not like pigs in a trough. So they just herd everyone else inside. Yeah. You're all right, like just come get it,
Yeah, you have a 2-hour table limit. That's what it says.
You're gone in an hour. Like they don't need you there. You don't need 2 hours. But I understand why. Otherwise, they would just have people there till they close.
No,
and that's maybe where 17 comes from.
I'm saying like 2 hours. 17. I think that's doable.
It's manageable if you really put your mind to it. But
okay,
we're definitely not talking, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. It was almost a month ago, so we can definitely move on to more exciting times. In like we said right off the top, MLB trade deadline is in motion as we speak. We're about just over an hour outside of the trade deadline ending, so we'll break any trades if they come in, anything worth it. It's been pretty decent over the past couple of hours. And basically the past couple of days. We'll start with Toronto because I think that's the most relevant to our audience, obviously. Big move today, acquiring right-hander Shane Bieber. So more than one Bieber in Toronto. I think those jersey sales are going to go completely nuts when he does arrive. In exchange for, is it Cal Stevens? Is that his name?
No.
Yeah, Cal Steven.
Yeah,
Steven.
No S.
Yeah.
No S. No disrespect for him. He was, I think, within the 5th to 9th ranked prospect, depending on who you ask in the Jays prospect rankings. And just for context, for those that don't know, you may have heard the name Shane Bieber in the past. Really good pitcher, 2020 AL Cy Young winner, unanimous Cy Young winner that year. That was the shortened season.
Ooh.
He's only pitched about 11 outings this year. Or 11 innings, I should say, through 4 outings in, I think the max he's pitched is in Double-A.
Right now
really good
Double-A.
Yeah, really good numbers. He had in April 2024, he had basically Tommy John surgery to repair a UCL injury. And so there's some kind of like caveats to this entire thing. Is he going to pitch? Is he going to come back? We slated to come back in a couple of weeks. Ideally, he's the perfect playoff starter if he's healthy. Just when you guys saw this come across the timeline, like what were your thoughts? Like, Brandon, maybe I'll go to you first and then we'll pass it over to Justin.
I mean, I was definitely surprised. I think that the Jays were able to land, I guess, such a talented pitcher. Someone who's, I think, he's made 70 starts in the MLB and he's like 3.13 ERA. Very impressive. Like, you don't, guys like that are, they can sometimes come available, but for the price of a single prospect, I thought the way everything came together in terms of him being unfortunately injured, it allowed them the opportunity to acquire, a top level potential pitcher when it comes to the playoff time. And that's what they're aiming for now. The situation around his contract clearly shows that this is a short-term gamble and they're willing to take it for like I said, a single prospect who, yes, is pretty well rated within their system. And I think someone that a lot of people had a lot of interest in and was somebody that people were excited about potentially, breaking through at some point. But when you weigh the pros and cons and you can acquire a pitcher with with Bieber's pedigree, I think you got to go for it, and he should give them an opportunity to obviously improve and upgrade their starting rotation. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this morning when the trade happened, it was like I think around 10 o'clock Eastern.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't fully happy or like over the moon about it. In terms of who they got, I thought you're adding a guy that hasn't pitched in a major league setting since like you said April 2024. I would have expected them to go after a guy that's healthy this season, has shown quality starts over the course of the season. One of the top starters, I mean, obviously, but obviously the price would have been higher considering what you paid for Bieber. I do like this, however, and I've thought about this more since 10 o'clock this morning, in the sense of now you don't have, with Bieber, you don't have to like necessarily rush into a 5 or like worrying about who comes out of the 5-man rotation. Do you go to a 6-man rotation? You can kind of let that, sit back for a little bit, figure out who might be in the 5-man rotation come playoff time. Put Bieber in the lineup. May say it's even like late August that you want him to come back. You don't need to rush him back like soon to the major leagues. Like let him, continue to get starts down in the minor leagues, and make sure he's healthy before he comes back. But like you said, Brandon, it's the upside. If he hits, he's going to hit, and that is a Game 1 starter in the playoffs for the Toronto Blue Jays. That is well worth the risk, but it's just, it's kind of interesting that they went after the guy that hasn't pitched an inning yet in 2025.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, which is the thing. Did you know going in, Brandon, that Bieber hadn't pitched this year? Like, I was completely caught off guard when I read that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like for me, I wouldn't say I'm like a huge fan of the Guardians or of his himself, but mostly through fantasy, I've followed a little bit of Bieber in the last couple of years. He's been a great pitcher, even since his 2021 season. He's been a really reliable guy for them, and I think them missing him over the last year and a half has actually hurt them as well. Coming into this season, if he had been healthy, they probably would have been a playoff contender in Cleveland. So, it's one of those things where, you can really get an upside for a guy where when you haven't seen him for a long time, teams tend to forget about him. It's easy to see it going, the wrong way sometimes when a guy comes back from that long. He maybe can't get it going. Maybe he'll be better next year than he will this year, and it is maybe what a lot of people are thinking. But I think it's still worth the risk. And if he can come back, and I think Justin's onto something. If you give him more opportunities to get healthy and to get back into his groove, maybe down in the minors, and don't put so much pressure on him to come back and perform right away. You maybe save him for into September and see if he can get a couple of starts before the playoffs, and then you see what you've got. In regards to Justin's point about being kind of not necessarily confused, but it is intriguing that they decided to go after a guy like this. I just think it goes to show that they maybe weren't as deep or haven't been as deep. They could still obviously make a move for an Alcantara or somebody like that.
So they just traded for Brandon. I don't want to butcher the last name here. Valsina. I think it's somewhere in that range, for Will Wagner, catcher from the San Diego Padres.
Okay, so sounds like a pretty low leverage guy.
Yeah, minor leaguer.
Okay, somebody maybe for the future then.
Yeah,
I'm seeing the Padres say we have acquired infielder Will Wagner from the Blue Jays in exchange for catcher Brandon Valenzuela.
Yes,
Valenzuela. There it is.
Valenzuela.
So that's okay. So there's a player for the. Oh, so not even a pitcher.
No,
Okay.
Catcher. Over this season, he's got 12 home runs, 46 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, hitting .229, OBP of .313, OPS of .700, has 75 hits so far this year, 328 at bats, and is played in Double-A. Double-A this year. That's where he's at. So it's kind of interesting.
Could be something for the future. I hope it has no implications on what's going on with Alejandro Kirk right now.
That's what my first thought was, but probably
if he
not,
hasn't
right?
played in the majors, I can't imagine they would bring in a guy yet.
No,
or bring in a guy to necessarily.
It just doesn't make sense to
play right now.
Will Wagner for that, though, does it? Or
not for an injury replacement. No, you're right. Yeah.
So
maybe they are looking at the future. Maybe he's a guy who'll be able to hit a little bit later on in his career and be a solid catcher, whether that's a backup for Kirk or maybe a future replacement.
I wonder if in Will Wagner, because he's a lefty, right? If I'm not mistaken, they have a lot of lefties that are in the lineup right now, and you can never really have too many necessarily, but like the Low Perfitos, the Addison Bargers of the world, like they have a lot of them. Maybe they're just trying to make room for somebody different and trying to give like a guy like Joey Low Perfito, who's hitting at the bottom of the lineup, but has kind of held his own for right now, at least offensively, where Alan Roden kind of went down, and maybe they're just trying to say like we need to solidify this group, and rather than kind of have guys in and out of the lineup. Dalton Varsho obviously on his way up, I should say. Like maybe they're just like there's too many bodies here. We should replenish the stock here.
So that's exactly what Keegan Matheson, I guess, to the show has said that this essentially just gives them catcher depth in exchange for a body that they're probably not going to use in terms of this season. So
so it's just like trying to make room.
I do like it. Yeah, I do like that.
But
I mean, go ahead. Sorry, Justin.
Kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
well, you're gonna need. Like I would assume this is not gonna be their only their last move of the day. I would assume
they have an hour.
If it is, then yes, you're right, Brandon. It is very disappointing, but I would assume that this is literally, like I just said, to make sure. Even though you have so many bodies up in terms of the bench, in terms of infielders and outfielders, you don't have a lot of catcher depth. So might as well try to bulk that up while you can. And I don't hate it because Will Wagner, what was he playing? Like he wasn't playing a lot even when he was up with the Blue Jays. Like it wasn't, he was a bench player for sure. So would he even been on the 26-man roster? Obviously by their terms and what they just did. I don't think so, because if you're going to keep him on your 26-man roster for the playoffs, you're obviously probably not making this deal then. He only had 114 at-bats this regular season, 27 hits, 0 home runs, 7 RBIs, 1 stolen base, hit .237, and had an OPS of .634. So, I mean...
Yeah, and it gives them the opportunity right away, I think, to bring up Dalton Varsho, which I think is the rumors to probably be back this weekend. So we'll.
I don't hate it.
It makes some sense. No, I agree.
It makes sense. It's just
it's
you
neutral.
Don't want this to be. You don't
I
want
just
this
mean
to
in comparison with everything else happening. You just want to see them
trades,
continue to.
You don't want this to be the only thing. This is literally like the Padres' worst trade, or like. I guess not worse, but like smallest trade of the day, because if you guys want to talk about them real quick, they just don't stop. They don't stop.
I have one more note on Bieber because we kind of derailed, rightfully so, on this trade. Just Shai Davidi was on with Blake Murphy and Julia Kreutz today, just chatting about like the Bieber signing and the fact that he was chatting with Robbie Ray, Shai Davidi was, at the All-Star break, and he had Tommy John surgery recently. And he's a much different pitcher than Shane Bieber is. He's more of a like pick your spot, like don't rush, don't try and blow the ball by the pitchers. And Robbie Ray said he was having a hard time adjusting in the first 6 to 8 months coming back from Tommy John, because his style is more like you're throwing as hard as possible, where Bieber's always been more of a Blue Jays type starter. And again, these are his words, not mine, but I think he made a really good point to say like he's going to fit into the rotation really well and hopefully doesn't have the same struggle coming back that other pitchers might, that are more like flamethrowers rather than like you're kind of a magician and trying to fit the ball in a certain area rather than blow blew the ball past it. So that's just a good note for fans that are like, is this guy going to actually impact the rotation and the team this year? That's the obvious goal, with the fact that he has an option at the end of this year, but he's essentially a free agent and likely is going to hit free agency. He's not going to sign anything.
I would assume he's going to hit free agency if it pans out well for him. If it doesn't, I would assume he's going to accept that player option for 2026.
We'll see. I don't know.
$16 million. Like, that's not nothing.
No, and you can't, like you said, Alex, you can't really discount the fact that he just had a pretty respectable start in the minors to kind of go along with it. I don't think the Jays could have made a deal for Bieber if you hadn't seen him get out there and actually throw the ball at a pretty elite level. So if he was like, if there were still a little bit away from rehab assignment down in the minors, then you maybe would have had more pause. But I think where he's at right now, it looks like he should be good to go when his number's called, and we'll just have to see. And yeah, like in terms of his contract, he'll be a guy who will want to show out, and that should include having some really strong starts in the majors this season. So we'll just have to see if he can do it, and yeah, he'll have earned whatever money's coming his way.
I was excited. I definitely was excited when I heard this. Now, I didn't know he didn't pitch this year. I'm not playing fantasy this year. I would not be able to keep up with it accurately, to be quite honest. I hit horrible in our school one last year. Like, I'm just going to hang up the reins. But that said, I was excited because I know that Bieber is a good player, very good pitcher in the past, and has the potential. He's only 30. It's not like he's 35, 36. There's an old rotation in Toronto already. So at least he weirdly brings it down like a small bit in terms of the age gap there. But yeah, the Padres, man, they've been obviously on a roll this entire day. Acquiring Mason Miller and JP Sears from the A's. Miller is 26 or something like that. I think he was like 4th for Rookie of the Year voting last year. Dominant in terms of their closer, and then bringing in Ryan O'Hearn from the Orioles as well. First baseman, a lot of good power. Have been sort of on a roll. Like, I think one of the players that they gave up was one of the top 3 ranked players in all of baseball for prospects in the Sears and Miller trade. But listen, like, that's in any sport, you're going to have to do that in order to win. And it feels like they're filling the gaps in areas that they need, and they're going for it. So that's the team that's kind of winning, it seems like, so far.
Suarez and Miller is like the best 1-2 combo in terms of a bullpen in the NBA, or in terms of the MLB, NBA.
Yeah.
In terms of the MLB right now, like, realistically, I saw someone on MLB Network say this today, and I thought it was perfect. Like, if the Padres have a lead in like the 5th inning, the game's over. Like, they can just run it out. Like, they don't, like, their bullpen's so good that they simply can shut down any lead now, and you're not worrying about them. And then they go out and obviously address the catcher situation. They go out and they get O'Hearn to play first base with Luis Ariz potentially. Who knows what's going to happen there, if he's going to play first base still for them or not. And yeah, they're still looking for an outfielder apparently. But the Padres, literally, they cannot go 5 minutes, it feels like, today without making a deal. Like, they just, like, front and center, they're like they're literally just the guy. Oh my gosh, draft day just has to make a deal. Just have to make a deal to make a deal.
Great movie though.
Yeah, great movie. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the Padres are in a position where they're trying to keep up with the Mets, I think, who are doing a similar thing where they are also putting together an incredible bullpen. And we'll have to see, I think, when we get to the playoffs, so depending on what the matchups are. But the NL is certainly shaping up to be an incredible race down the run, and the playoffs should be incredible as well. Like, there are, I think, for me at least, when you put together the Dodgers, the Mets, the Padres,
the
Phillies, there are 4 great teams there that if they all make the playoffs, which I believe that they will, they're all going to be a tough out, and some of the series we're going to see some incredible moments from a bunch of these players. But yeah, it's great to see that in baseball. Yeah, there's a bunch of teams still willing to push all in and make trade deadline fun and really kind of address all their needs. Like you said, Alex, I think it's a great way to look at it. Is just continuing to bring in players who can help in spots you need.
You completely forgot the Brewers and Cubs.
Yeah,
well.
Of course. Yeah,
that's essential.
Yeah,
No, and the Cubs, I think people expected them to be a little bit more aggressive than they have been at the deadline, but
Yeah.
they still have a great team, and I expect them to be in the conversation. The Brewers have been a breakout story, obviously, and they're going to be tough to play at any point. Like the NL is just filled with
Yeah,
incredible
it's
talented
crazy.
teams that
Well,
that all will have a good say at who.
And Cincinnati, like
good.
Cincinnati bought, like
Yeah.
they acquired
Brian Hayes.
yeah, Brian Hayes, third baseman, and they also acquired Taylor Rogers. Or no, they traded Taylor Rogers. I'm pretty sure, didn't they? Or yeah, they traded him to
Yeah.
the Giants. Was it? I think. No,
No,
no, no,
one of
no.
them came
Taylor.
from the
Yeah,
Giants.
yeah. One of them came from the Giants. The Twins. They're so hard to keep track because literally it's the first time in MLB history 2 Twins have been traded on the same day. I know Tyler went from the Giants to the Mets. I'm trying to remember where Taylor went to. It was the Reds to
I got it.
somewhere else.
Yeah, so he went to fork of Brian Hayes. Taylor went to the Pirates.
Okay.
And then Tyler got brought into the Mets for a couple different players to the Giants. So yeah, and they're literally on the deadline tracker. I'm looking at the back-to-back trades. So probably within like a short period of time, they're both moving to different teams. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, like I said, the NL is just it's loaded. The AL is definitely not the superior division right now.
That's good.
In baseball.
As Jays fans ourselves, let's let the NL beat up on each other until you get to the World Series, right?
Here's the thing, like there's still some teams in the AL that made big time moves that the Blue Jays simply have not matched yet. I like the Yankees getting Bednar. That's a great addition to their bullpen. I think that pairs them with Devin Williams, who's like looked strong recently. I think that's a really good addition. Then I think the Mariners, they made a bunch of moves.
Brought in Suarez.
What? Sorry?
They brought in Suarez.
Yeah,
brought back Suarez.
Yeah. And you got Josh Naylor from a week ago that you traded for. Their pitching is obviously the best in the MLB when good and healthy. So the thing for them was lacking offense, and going out and acquiring 2 of the biggest bats at this deadline is going to push them over the edge, in my opinion. Then you still have the Detroit Tigers, who were really, really good and went through a terrible, terrible slump, but now they look decent. And listen, they just acquired a bunch of players today. So I think that they're a team that's like, in terms of the AL, when you think of the top teams, I would say Blue Jays. I would have to include the Yankees in the conversation. I would say they're a tier below the Blue Jays, Mariners, and Tigers right now. But those, and the Astros, I can't forget the Astros, who just acquired or reacquired Carlos Correa. Who's probably going to play third base with Isaac Paredes down for the rest of the season, most likely. But like I said, like there's the AL is not as strong as the NL, not even close. So, like you said, it's just when you get to the World Series, like you're going to be facing a much better team on paper. So you just gotta hope that balls on. Or like I guess I was gonna say Moneyball, make a reference there. The stats are on your side because
that's all you can ask for.
Well, you get to the World Series too, and anything can happen. But like, it feels like the pendulum has swung hard to the NL, where obviously they've had, I think they've had more recent champions than not, but. Yeah, it's never felt like they've had this many good teams compared to the AL, where it feels like there's a lot of chaos happening right now. And I think that's why, depending on what happens in the future, maybe Jays fans will look back and say this was a missed opportunity if they don't do anything else that's of consequence. But you also can't always pay the price when it comes. Sometimes you got to let things play out. And like you said, Alex, it may still be an opportunity ahead of you the way things are shaking. So.
And there's an hour left. There are 49 minutes left. But I would think like the Blue Jays have to be in on like Joe Ryan of the Minnesota Twins.
I don't know if he's going to get moved though. I was reading that they might not feel like the Twins want to move Joe Ryan. So like it just depends on who's left. That's
I know, but
available.
like they've shipped out everyone today. It just feels like they're like in complete sell mode right now. And if you're the Blue Jays in the last hour, we might as well call them up and try and get Joe Ryan. That's a really, really good starting pitcher.
Yeah.
That has team control. And that's a player that you could definitely, if you got him and Bieber and then you maybe moved Lauer, and I would think that the other arm would have to be Scherzer going to the pen. I think that'd be really good. I really do. I think that would be really good. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Mad Max wouldn't want to go to the pen, but
I think he'd be fine.
you think?
I don't know. That's what I was thinking too. I have a hard time believing that the Jays, after getting Bieber, are going to be in on another high quality starting pitcher. Like, I think it would be great to have, and maybe if the opportunity is there, they can't say no. But obviously until last night when we saw most of the high-powered relievers start to go.
Yeah.
Even today, I kind of hoped they would be in on a guy like Bednar, because I think that's where they needed more help, was in the bullpen. And after getting Bieber, you can see a pathway to having, six guys really who can potentially pitch in the playoffs for you at any point. And then, so it was hard for me to envision them going and getting a seventh in that scenario. I know you could move multiple guys to the bullpen, but that felt like maybe a little bit extra. So I kind of hoped they would be more in the reliever market, and while they still could maybe pick up a guy who isn't, going to be as relied upon, it still may be able to help and improve the bullpen as a whole.
Yeah,
we'll see. No,
I mean, sorry, I was just gonna say that I think in terms of the bullpen, you're totally right. They should have been a team. Because if we heard all in, this is not all in my opinion, for the Toronto Blue Jays.
No, I agree with that.
If you're going all in, like you needed to acquire like a top dog closer that is better than Jeff Hoffman, because Jeff Hoffman, while he is good, like he's just not the elite of the elite, and like having Jeff Hoffman as a eighth inning guy would be the perfect situation to then have like a closer come in and be that top guy. Like we're talking about Durant, like if you would have made that trade for Durant and like gave up, I don't know, the fourth best prospect in the farm, maybe Ricky Tiedemann, maybe something else, I would have been very happy with that, because listen, that is the type of closer that you're going to need to go into the postseason in the MLB and get the job done. I don't see this as an all-in trade deadline for the Toronto Blue Jays if they don't get another top-end reliever by the end of this hour, I would say.
When have we really seen this front office go all in on anything? And like, I know that's low-hanging fruit,
but like not.
But that wasn't this front office, right? So
that was Alex.
Like, again, low-hanging fruit. So like, I don't want to necessarily transition but at the end of the day, I think this caught everyone by surprise. I wonder if it caught the front office by surprise that the Jays would be in this position at that time.
Yeah.
And now I think it's like you got to pay the piper, i.e. the front office needs to have made those choices and sort of made the decisions. And we won't make any like proclamations till the 6 o'clock and even really like 6:30 Eastern goes through, because you can see some of these trades might roll in afterwards, as we see in other sports. I did see an interesting thing from Ken Rosenthal earlier today on The Athletic, and there's some teams that have sort of stayed put, and like maybe the Cubs being one that haven't really been moving the needle too much. And some people think that staying put is good, and I think that can be said, in certain situations. But he had said, like, if you looked at the past 10 World Series champions, 8 of the last 10 can trace success to like people that have actually been traded to that team and made a big difference, have been like MVPs in either the NLCS or the DS or whatever the case is, or the World Series itself. Like you look at Tommy Edman last year with the Dodgers, all the way back to 2015, like the Royals with Johnny Cueto, who pitched pretty well with them. I don't know if there's their number one, but they're 2 or 3, but he stepped in, I think, from the Reds and made a big difference. So I think you can trace like success to the MLB trade deadline actually mattering, and not saying, oh, like we have a good team. I think there's just so many positions, so many players that impact the team, that it's not like you can look at, 3 or 4 guys on an NBA roster to say we have this starting 5 that is fine, we need backup. No, like in the MLB, you can see glaring weaknesses that can ruin your chances at success. So all that to say, the teams that have made moves are probably in better positions. That's not really like a crazy statement by any means, but it's a tale to say like teams should probably go in if they want to be successful in the playoffs.
If you're gonna be in the mix, you might as well go. You don't just dip your toes into the deep end. You dive directly into it, and you go all in.
Yes.
That's exactly the motto, the way or thinking the Blue Jays should have right now. But we'll see as we get down to this final little bit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it I think has to do with just the communication from the front office in the past too. Is like they've been very vocal in terms they wanted to rebuild the farm system. They want to put their own stamp on this team and the organization, the types of players that come up. So I think they've maybe have gotten a little bit maybe too sentimental in terms of some of the guys that they've drafted and developed, and maybe don't want to get rid of them so easily for one a singular chance when they view maybe their potential growth as opportunities to win for how many years in the future. So
Yeah,
it's one of those things where you can't mortgage everything, but smart teams are able to bring in talent when they need it the most, and they're able to acquire young talent when they're maybe not at their best highest position of need, where they are maybe competing but maybe aren't in a win all or win now situation. So you always have to be able to ebb and flow as your roster kind of calls for it, and allow yourself to kind of just find kind of the natural point to take the step. And that's why I was saying in the NL there are so many great teams that all deserve to push forward to a CS or to the World Series, but it could be one of these players that has moved that is the difference, right? So especially when you're talking about a reliever who can go out there maybe in the ninth inning for some of these teams and put a stamp on a game when you maybe wouldn't have been so confident in guys that they had before. So that's really the difference in the playoffs. So we'll have to see where it goes.
To wrap up the MLB trade deadline, who's the one guy that, like, because you just mentioned like making a difference in the playoffs, who's the one guy right now that you're like, this is going to be the biggest difference maker, looking at the trades that have happened today? I'll start with you, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of going back and forth, but I think for me it has the potential to be Ryan Helsley for the Mets.
Really?
I think this team I think had a lot of juice going into the season, and I think they've played well, but they haven't been, I don't think, as strong as maybe people expected, especially in the back of the bullpen. So having a guy like him who can come in again, they've got the offense, they've got some really good underrated starting pitching as well, and if they can get to their get to the playoffs and get to a point where they feel confident in guys that they have, he's a guy that can come in any inning really and give them a stop. So I think he's a guy that I think will surprise people maybe in the playoffs, because St. Louis, while they've had strong teams in the past, they more central division team, not really somebody that got a lot of juice in the media. So I think you're going to see him in the New York Lights probably shine as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah. I think that's a really good pick. I look at the Johan Duran thing, and I think that's the biggest one. The Phillies are a really, really good team. They needed an elite closer. Obviously, Jordan Romano just has not been what he was in the past this season, and Johan Duran is like, he is the guy. He is, if Emmanuel Clase was number 1A in terms of everyone's list before this whole MLB betting situation happened, Johan Duran was number 2, and he obviously becomes number 1 with Clase and the whole thing going sideways there. So I think Johan Duran is like, it is the best move possible that the best player in terms of picking up a closer that you could have got, and the Phillies got him. And listen, he also, it's not just a rental with Duran as well. Like he's got control for the next couple of years. So I really, really like that move for the Phillies. I think that's the biggest addition so far this MLB deadline.
Yeah, I'll just say Mason Miller, because I think I just want to go off the board. I think it's really good bolstering the bullpen in any capacity, especially when you're going against the Dodgers, especially to win that NL West. I think bolstering that in a general sense, a lot of people overlook the bullpen and think starting pitching is the most important, or obviously your bats, which very much factor in, but late game situations, you need clutch. Still a very young arm who's had a very good year and a very good year last year as well. And I think adding the juice to those late inning runs when you're obviously need to either get the bats going and you need to kind of bolster the other team's offense, or you're in the lead and you need to hold it. I think a player like that just adds a lot of energy to a lineup that the Padres have at the lower end of their bullpen. And hopefully he makes a difference at the NL side. I don't even want to say anybody in the AL because I'm hoping that it's like a Bieber or a Dominguez or anybody else that the Jays acquire. Right now, it's really just a wait and see situation.
Yeah. Yep.
Miller could be really fun to watch in a playoff scenario.
That's the
think
thing.
He's still very young, obviously. Playing in Oakland, hasn't had the opportunity to be in those big games. I think the energy and stuff that you mentioned, Alex, is a great point. Like he could be electric in a playoff scenario for the Padres, and I think we should definitely see that.
Versus the Dodgers if it happens as well.
Oh boy.
I mean, yeah, right. Like I'm happy to see the Padres do well because they've been the little brother of that division for like ever.
Yeah.
And in every year it seems like, okay, you have like a Tatis, you have like a Machado come in and you're like, oh, these guys are ready, and they just can never get over that hump. So
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the year for them. If they hold on to a Dylan Cease, that makes things a little bit different. That'll be the telltale sign if they keep them or they don't. At this point, I think it's pretty obvious they're trying to contend. So we'll see. I'm excited for the rest of this year.
Yep. Yep.
We'll just chat a little bit quickly about the NBO, National Bank Open in Toronto and in Montreal. The women's WTA is in Montreal, the ATP in Toronto. And really, it's just the storyline here is like there's no Canadians left outside of Gabriel Diallo.
Kid wiped out.
It's unfortunate because you figure like you'd get up for these situations. But Diallo's the only one who has sort of said, I'm home, or I'm at least in my home country, and I'm going to kind of keep things going, winning in 2 sets last night, I believe. So interesting to see. He's going to be really interesting because he's on the rise. So he's a player that like you want to keep an eye out for. Brandon, I know you had some thoughts on that and just in terms of like Canadians and maybe things to look out for moving forward. I'll pass the rock to you here.
No, I mean, I think you're onto it there. The remaining focus, I think, will be on Diallo and what he does in Toronto. I mean, going into the tournament, there's obviously always a bunch of Canadian talent because of the tournament being in Toronto. We get a bunch of wild cards that allow some of the young players to come in and have a wild card entry. So, and we saw one of them actually pick up a victory. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but there was a young Canadian, I think, who won his first rounder's wild card match against a pretty respected player, and kind of, his name's out there now. Obviously, not to me, but it is out there. And he was a guy that's going to be a young up and comer, and this is the perfect tournament where we see some of those Canadian stars get made and find their start. But it is disappointing because of guys like Felix Auger-Aliassime, who lost unfortunately, and Denis Shapovalov, who lost, and obviously Vasek Pospisil, a little bit older, but it would have been nice to see him win a round as well. Like, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, we in Canada feel like we have some young tennis talent, and once in a while we go through a bit of a lull where it doesn't feel like anybody's really going to break through. Diallo's that one guy who seems to be on a roll right now, and I think he was the 27th seed going into the NBO. So it's not like he's highly ranked or is that well respected in terms of where he's going to be. I think it's more about his potential as a young scrappy player, and I think he's going to go up against Taylor Fritz on Friday night. I think he was the 2nd overall seed remaining, so it's going to be a tough match for, I think, his 3rd round. So it's going to be really fun to see that match, probably on the center court for Team Canada, basically tomorrow night in Toronto. And then on the women's side, of course, you had, Bianca Andreescu obviously having to retire due to an injury.
Match point too, right?
Really sad story there,
sucks.
where she was so close to victory and just was able to, hurt herself, was able to finish the match, I believe, but obviously had to retire immediately just because of the severity of that injury. And then, another good story was Eugenie Bouchard, who for a while was the number one Canadian in the world in terms of the women's tennis rankings. And, it looked like she was on her way to a really strong career. And unfortunately, as things go in individual sports like tennis and golf, once you kind of get off the rails a little bit, it's really hard to kind of get it back. And obviously she was playing in a few events. I think she's playing, pretty high level pickleball now as well too, which is pretty fun.
There you go.
But yeah, it was good to see her playing back in Montreal, but unfortunately, obviously she wasn't able to win her second round match, and she did end up retiring there on center court, which was a pretty nice cool ceremony moment for her there from Tennis Canada. So just one of those events where it'll be fun to watch for the next couple of days to see who ends up winning each tournament. But a little bit disappointing in terms of the lack of Canadian talent that we would have hoped to see move on to a potential quarterfinal or semifinal or beyond. So
yeah. The Bouchard news was interesting. Like, I was watching that matchup, and there was times where she was dominating Belinda Bencic, who made it to the semifinals at Wimbledon just a few weeks ago. So it was interesting that even like she won the second set, lost the third, obviously, and that was the end of her career, which is crazy to say. They were making that pretty clear. But to finish in Montreal for Bouchard and like get her flowers in the sense of like having a speech. Even Bencic was interviewed, just like, how did you feel winning the match and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, it was great. Obviously it'll be fun in like a couple days, but like, let's let like Jeannie have her moment. So she even noticed the weight of the moment herself. And Bouchard was like pretty pumped about just being able to talk in front of the crowd and acknowledge that this is where her career started, and like being born in Montreal and ending your career there is pretty cool. She was at one point, I think you were saying top Canadian, and she was ranked 5th in the world, was her highest ranking in 2014. It's pretty cool. And you can notice though, like recently it's just, you don't hear a lot of success on the court with her, at least of late. And like you said, with golf and with tennis, you're up and down, and it's hard to sort of make your way back up when you're already on a decline. But it seems like there's a lot of stuff ahead for her, just not on the court. But yeah, just tough to watch a lot of these Canadians out of it. Like, that's kind of the biggest reason the NBO is popular here, is because we're coming into a place where there are a lot of Canadians that are at least in the mix, or seemingly in the mix. And so far, not necessarily the case. And Diallo's our last remaining hope. Yeah. I was trying to find the players you were mentioning. There was a few Canadians that actually got wins.
Yes.
Galarneau was one of them. He had Alexis Galarneau, and then Nicholas Arsenault got some victory.
That was the one I was thinking
that the
of,
kid?
Nicholas Arsenault. Yeah,
Nicholas Arsenault.
Yeah.
Shout him out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you found that name. And Galarneau too, good for him. Like, I don't know how frequently these guys get the opportunity to play in an ATP 1000 tournament, basically. So, it's basically the next highest to a major for these guys to be able to get the opportunity to play in these tournaments. I think some as a wild card, maybe not both of those guys, but to be able to have that chance and to be able to get a win. I think it was Arsenault's first career ATP win, I could be mistaken, but I believe like it's just an opportunity for these guys to continue to get that experience and build on their careers as tennis players. I mean, I think it's fair now, whether it's tennis or golf. I think we're past the point in Canada where we're just happy to have these guys on the tour. I think it's fair to expect to start to see more success as we continue to go on. Yeah. Otherwise, maybe these, our programs need to change or things need to happen. Eventually, you get a certain number of players. I'm not talking about a majority here or anything, but, eventually someone's got to break through and start to really show that our program and everything's working. I think it is up to these points, but I just want to continue to see growth and development from our
I like that.
Yeah, I like that take. I would say you're right. Like, it's like that. Like you said, tennis, golf, and I would say soccer's in that conversation as well.
That's fair, yeah.
They've all taken the right steps over the past, like, I don't know, decade, it feels like, to align themselves, not in the top of the world, but like, respectable now. Like, it's not just like these programs are terrible, like, we have no one really competing. Like, we're at a point now where people are competing, people are performing, and they need to start, having a little bit better results, like you said, or else you start to question, are we going backwards from all the momentum that we took forward?
We saw Milos Raonic. I think I had a stat when we were chatting about Wimbledon that within the past, I think like 23 years or so, the big three of Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal, this was like outside of 1 year, 2015 or something, 2014, they were in every Wimbledon final. And obviously this year we saw Sinner and Alcaraz there. But Raonic lost to Andy Murray, I believe, in that year in Wimbledon. So Raonic being a player where like we saw some success from Canadians in tennis, and you want to kind of grasp at that. Once you see the success, you're like, let's see more of this program returning, and hopefully we have that.
And I'm glad you brought him up because for a long time he was the only guy really to have any kind of success on the tour, and he was such a raw talent, and I think he was just a big guy who could serve well, wasn't able to compete with the best of them at times, but on his best day could beat any player based on his just powerful serve. And I think just having a guy of that status, in a final of a major of a prestigious event, I'm sure it gave, a lot of younger kids who are probably now, 19, 20, 21, probably just getting to their opportunities, in tennis or in the pros to actually showcase their talent and spend more time learning. I'm not sure exactly what Raunic's training or what his, development was like, but I'm sure that the players in Canada now probably have a lot more access and a little bit more opportunity than he did just 10, 15 years ago. So,
yeah, exciting stuff. Hopefully on the rise, not in this particular tournament. We'll see Diallo. I think I was seeing that Fritz, at least on FanDuel, pre-tournament was ranked as like the odds-on favorite to win. So I hope Diallo can maybe make something change there. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know. We'll see. I did get a breaking news for MLB trade deadline. We were chatting there.
Cool.
Merrill Kelly is going to Texas to the Rangers, boys.
Interesting.
3 prospects in return. I haven't seen who that is yet, but it's a starting pitcher off the board. So the Jays will not be getting Merrill Kelly. Zach Allen apparently still maybe in the mix, but there's your first big one from the Diamondbacks. I haven't really heard much about the Rangers, so I'm interested to see that they brought an arm like that in.
Yeah, they obviously are committed to this team.
That's that.
The Cubs also, the Twins just keep on selling. They got rid of Will Castro, so Joe Ryan. Come on, let's go.
You're next, pal.
I mean, they literally are selling off everyone. They just obviously the Twins are like, no, we plateaued with this team. We can't get any farther. Let's rip it down and rebuild it. And they literally have traded every single good asset they've had except for Joe Ryan.
Yeah, that would make it a nice bow wrapped at the end of the deadline if the Jays can acquire Ryan. But we'll see what happens in the next 26 minutes while we're recording. I think all that we have left is some NFL training camp talk. A few days in. While we're recording, we will have our first NFL game tonight, a Hall of Fame game, Chargers taking on Detroit Lions. Trey Lance is starting for the Chargers, guys. I don't know if you saw that. So that's fun. Didn't even know Lance was on the Chargers, and I am a Chargers fan. So that's how dialed in I am.
Wow.
But that's a fun fact. Trey Lance is still trying to make his way.
That's a fun fact.
That Trey Lance is in there. Obviously, is like the third stringer.
He's going up against Kyle Allen, I think I saw was the other.
Is that who it is? I thought it was Goff, but it might be Allen just for
for the Lions.
There's no way that the Goff's playing tonight.
I would assume not.
I was shocked to hear that. Actually, I guess not because it's an NFL. I don't know how many games Trey Lance has played in the NFL, but apparently he's already made $34 million in the NFL.
It's like 5, I'm pretty sure.
5 games? Yeah. So he's made almost like $7 million a game.
Yeah.
In his career.
What?
Yeah. Pretty great.
That's pretty exciting.
Not bad,
I was like, that's insane. But I mean, hey,
I think
his time could come at some point.
He's 25.
It's not going to be in LA. I'm telling you that for free.
You don't think?
Justin Herbert, man. What do you mean?
I guess Herbert would play through anything.
Yeah, Herbert's playing
It's,
through.
Jim Harbaugh will put him out there with like two broken legs, and he'll wheel him onto the
All right,
field. That doesn't even matter.
So what counts? Games played or games started?
Are there still regular season games?
Yeah, regular season games.
See, the games played though, like you're talking probably garbage time, right? So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
how many games started? Just tell me that. We'll start
5.
there. Yeah, 5. You're right.
I was right on that.
How many games has he appeared in then?
12.
Okay, still, it's it's like 3 million a game. No, I mean that's what it is, right? That's the NFL.
I mean, that's NFL. It's not NBA money. Like bench player in NBA
No, that's
gets
very
$10
true.
million a season, no matter what. But yeah, the NFL training camps, everyone's gonna have their news, overreactions, underreactions to training camp. In terms of what you see, at the end of the day, it's practice. You know, if your offense stalls out against, if your favorite team's offense stalls out against your defense, you can say, oh, we have the best defense in the league, or you can worry and say, oh man, we do not have a great offense, or whatever. You know, it's that time of season where you're going to see everything like that happen. But you know, we are here and we're in this season, and it's good because football is back, and that's all that really matters, is that football is back at the end of the day. The biggest thing is the hold-ins that were holdouts, and now they're hold-ins. Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders is holding in now. $30 million a season is apparently what he's looking for. I would assume he gets more than Courtland Sutton, but that's obviously up for debate. He's looking for DK Metcalf money, which is $33 million a season. Do you guys think he's worth that? I mean, I would say he's in terms of, not only is he worth it, but like has stuck with the team, hasn't requested a trade in terms of that. Like, all those bad years, switching quarterbacks every single time, bad ownership. Like, he's a guy that you want to, if you're Washington Commanders ownership, you kind of want to set a standard and say, hey, look, if you do this, if you do all the right things, we're going to reward you in the end, type of contract, I would assume.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I mean, he hasn't exactly, I think there's been a couple clips where he hasn't exactly sounded happy. But I think at the same time, you're right. Like, he's kind of a homegrown guy. You want to see him, play out at least the majority of his career with the team after being drafted by them. And so, I mean, go ahead.
The funny thing is, I heard this on Part of My Take. He's a 3 jersey, one team guy.
Yeah, 3 names.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just goes to show there's not many guys left on that roster that I'm sure can say that.
No,
if any others.
I don't think there's any others.
At some point, yeah, there should be some loyalty shown by the team, I would hope. But between him and Trey, Hendrickson, Justin, who do you think will get extended first?
Him, 100% him.
I'd agree.
I think Trey Hendrickson, especially now that Shamar Stewart has signed with the Bengals. Like, I would assume that it's going to be Terry McLaurin that gets this deal done first.
Do you think Hendrickson gets an extension?
I honestly don't know. To be honest, if I'm going to give you an answer, like straight up or straight no, it's going to be a no.
Straight up or straight no?
Straight, yeah.
Straight
New
up
segment of the pod.
But if they were going to get an extension done, you would think they've got one done in the last 8 months. So this has been going on since literally the end of the season or January for them, whatever. So it's just, we're in month 8 of this basically hold in, hold out situation with him. I don't think they're getting anywhere close to a deal.
I think for McLaurin, I just want to hop in on that. I think it's already a bad look for the Commanders for a couple of reasons here. Mainly because they had such a standout season. You obviously have your guy at quarterback. A lot of people rank him in the top 5 or top 10, and it's been 1 year. But obviously he's shown that he can handle the weight of being a starter, i.e. Jaden Daniels can. And you have your number 1 guy right there in Terry McLaurin. And if you want to showcase not only to like the one player that you're dedicated and you've been here for 10 years, you've been the guy that has kind of stuck around with the team with bad quarterbacks. If you want to attract more talent down the line in the next 5, 6, 7 years, what your window is, you can't in the year after you have a successful year, you can't show as an organization that you're not willing to pay the players that have been loyal, right? Like you have an opportunity, maybe if you bring in like a wide receiver 3 or you bring in a different running back or anybody on the offensive or defensive line that's going to be a player that's going to obviously help your team win. You have to show them we're willing to pay, we're willing to kind of bend the knee a little to make the team successful. You can also argue on the other side that McLaurin, now that we're going to have a really good team, you're going to take less money so that we can add pieces down the line. I personally don't agree with that side in this case.
The only thing is that you can argue if you're Terry is like you're literally paying Jaden next to nothing for the next 4 years remaining on that contract until you have to actually give him an extension that's, kicks in. So realistically, it's a 4-year contract. If he signs for 4 years, which is what it would be rumored to be, or 3 years, you're still within that window of that contract even being expired by the time that Jaden Daniels is due to come up for an extension, which would probably be a super max extension depending on how these next couple of years go for him. So like right now, every single team, when they hit on a quarterback and the quarterback is cheap, that's the time when you have to go spend and spend and spend around him, because when the quarterback comes up for extension, that's when you're going to be in cap hell, and that's when everything's going to go in terms of depleting the roster. We look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, they do a good job of like building a roster around Patrick Mahomes, but they've still had to get rid of pieces, very talented pieces, because they've extended Patrick Mahomes with all that money, and you simply cannot pay every single person on the roster $30 million. So yeah, when you talk about it, like now is the time to go pay a guy like Terry McLaurin, especially since Jaden is on this rookie contract.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, not much else to say.
Yeah, no, and it's tough in the NFL to win, consistently, right? That's why you see these two teams that we're talking about mostly, when Washington, a more recent successful team, and then Cincinnati's had some relatively consistent success, and up until recently, obviously last year they didn't make the playoffs, but yeah, I think once you get to that point, players can demand a little bit more. They see that their value is worth the success, and that's when you get into these problems. But I think, I think you're right, and that McLaurin will probably get his deal relatively soon, and I think he's deserved it. And they're going to be a great team, I think, this year too. So we'll see what happens. And
they identified some problems on the offensive line, and I think they addressed them. I think that I don't know if they're going back to the NFC Championship game level, but I do think they're a playoff team for sure. You can pencil them in for that, but yeah.
Yeah, and then the Bengals, it's always going to be the Bengals when it comes to, even if it's not about
points, give up 50.
Even if it's not about the money or if it's not about the player, the Bengals will always be looked at as a cheaper organization who's afraid to spend money, and I think Hendrickson and his camp has done a good job of leveraging their power, and I think you'll see an extension, I think, for him at some point, but I have no idea when that's going to be or what the situation is going to look like when we get there.
The thing is, you cannot hold out this long or go, because this is probably going to go a lot longer into training camp and might even go into the preseason, to be completely honest with you. You cannot hold out that long and then sign a 1-year contract, because we saw what happened last year with Hassan Reddick when he held out for so long. He got traded from Philadelphia because he didn't want to sign there because of holding out. He wasn't getting the money. Then he got traded to the Jets, and they didn't even want to give him the money that he thought he was worth. He signs a 1-year deal mid-season, and he plays like crap. You wonder why, because you're not in season form, because you haven't been training, you haven't been practicing with these guys, and it shows. It really does show when you do that. So that would be the only not advice that I would give Trey Hendrickson, but like you can't hold out this long just to get a 1-year contract. Like that, it doesn't work out in your favor, because you're going to look like crap after, not having a full training camp to go, get reps and start the season off right, in my personal opinion.
No, but that also opens it up just to like add to your point to more injury. The less you move your body, the less like
Yeah.
training and reps you get in, you're more prone to injury. And obviously, there's not guaranteed money in football, like not fully guaranteed contracts in football to begin with. So like that really tilts the scales in the team's favor, where if you do sign a 1-year deal, you get injured game 3, like that season's over. What do you have to show, and do your agent have to show for a team the year after, unless you've built up enough credibility over an early part of the career, and
Yeah.
that's not easy in the NFL, I would say.
Yeah, and like, I guess to wrap up this kind of topic on the NFL is like, if you're thinking about, you know, what money might look elsewhere, you might end up in the same situation as Hassan Reddick, in the sense of maybe it's not just the Bengals that wouldn't pay you that money. Maybe it's another team that won't pay that type of money for you as well. Like, you kind of have to, like, I know you want to get paid and you want your money, but you also have to come to the table and realize I can't just stay at one spot. I have to actually negotiate with these guys. Like, I'm sure that the Bengals have come up from a number, whatever their number was in January. I guarantee they've come up from that number. It's just, has he come down from his number? Are they even close to that? Or is he staying put and firm with the number that he believes that he deserves? Which, at some point, I think, if you're fighting over $2 million, are you fighting over money because you want money, or are you like does it $2 million at the end of the day, when you are getting a $90 million contract compared to a $92 million contract, really matter? Does it really affect your livelihood? Like, does it really affect that? Is it worth it not to play football over that money? Like, I know it's $2 million, and $2 million is a lot of money, but in the end of the day, when you're signing that big of a contract, is it worth ruining, or, potentially ruining your NFL career over? In my personal opinion, no.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I guess we'll just let it play out. It's still early days of training camp. I'm not even personally ready to, like, my head's not ready for football yet. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the MLB and like enjoy the process, at least from Toronto's. They've hit a recent skid, and so hopefully they turn things around.
We're 10 minutes away from the deadline, and the Padres have made yet another deal. They're acquiring another left-handed pitcher, Nestor Cortez Jr. from the Brewers, or Nestor, sorry. Then the Boston Red Sox are acquiring right-hander Dustin May from the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's a pretty big name that
That's
was
an interesting
once upon a time one of the best up-and-coming pitchers in the MLB. We all know he almost died. We almost died because of choking on lettuce in his esophagus. That was kind of interesting.
What did you just say?
I think esophagus. No, did I pronounce
esophagus?
Yeah, esophagus. That's what it is.
I can't let you go. I can't let that one go. I'm sorry.
That's pretty bad.
That's okay.
I'm tongue twisted right now.
That's all right.
But yeah, and
sounds like
Sandy's
gonna stay in Miami.
Yeah, Sandy's not going anywhere. So we'll see. I know the Red Sox were in on Sandy, so yeah. The only last thing I wanted to mention, and we're going all over the place right now, so apologies here, is Shador. What's your guys' thoughts on that? Do you see him starting week 1? Do you see Flacco starting week 1? I know he went off yesterday. He went 9 for 9, like 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They're the only training camp right now that ESPN literally has a graphic for every single day on how each quarterback did. It's kind of crazy. It is crazy right now, the situation in Cleveland.
That's ESPN. That's so ESPN to do that, right? Like who cares right now?
A lot of people care, man.
Those
people care.
Those people need to find other things to do, because there's not going to be decided today. Like, I think if I had to put money on it, it's Joe Flacco, and regardless of how anybody does, everybody, unless obviously injury aside, I think that's my choice, regardless of Shador.
How long until he starts? How long until he starts? Or does Dylan Gabriel start before him?
That I have no clue. Like, I would think Shador has a better chance because Gabriel's size, like he's a smaller quarterback, and ultimately, I think that just like that hinders his success early on. So he probably has a bigger hill to climb right now over Shador, regardless of all the noise around him. I think like he is a decent quarterback. There was a reason he was touted as being like a number 2 pick at one point, and maybe even a number 1 to some. But I don't know in terms of how long. I think it just depends on how Flacco does early on. That would be my choice. I don't see Pickett as having a chance.
Well,
I think it's
Pickett's
between
injured
those.
now. He's 4 out of 4 at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree. I think Flacco makes the most sense to go into week 1 as your starter unless you see something, unless you're blown away by one of these other guys, but I don't think that's the case yet. So yeah, you kind of give Flacco some runway, and yeah, I think obviously depending on what happens if Kenny Pickett was healthy, I would say, well, if Flacco gets hurt early on in the first couple of weeks, and you go to Pickett. But I think if you get to like week 6, week 7, and one of these 2 rookies is showing you something that you're impressed with and you think it's worth giving them a chance, Flacco's not anybody's long-term solution. I don't think, even though he's continued to play pretty well, like for a bunch of teams or a few teams that have said that exact
even
thing.
Cleveland.
Yeah, like you could have signed him to a longer-term deal 3 or 4 years ago and said, hey, at least we justified this. But obviously that's not how it works when you're 40 years old. So yeah, I think it's his job to basically lose, and we'll just see how the season goes on. I don't know how, the NFL is weird. Sometimes teams are better or worse than you expect, but I don't expect the Browns to be that good. So I think, they can kind of do whatever they want, whether it's a week 6, week 10, week 2. I don't know. They can kind of play it by ear and decide what they think is best for their future.
We can save this for a next show or whatever closer to the NFL season. But do you guys have one hot take, like really hot take for the NFL season right now?
I don't really have one queued up. I think I have to get in the mindset of the NFL, and I'm not there. I don't know if you have one, go. I'm gonna wait to hold on to mine.
Well, I think mine, it's maybe not hot takey, but I think last year the Bears were very overestimated in terms of they were going to make the playoffs. They were going to make a lot of noise, people were saying. I think this year is more the year where I would expect them to take a jump and potentially make a run at the playoffs. I'm not going to say that they're going to be, a contender for the NFC North or the NFC, but I think they should be able to kind of grow on what they did last year. And I think they're a team that we'll look to, there's going to, whether it's, if you're betting futures or whatever it is, there's going to be some value with the Bears. They're probably going to come out hot. Still a pretty young roster. They've got a lot of talented weapons. So we'll see what happens there. But I'd say that's kind of the one. Otherwise, I kind of expect the season to kind of be a little chalky. I think this day and age, we know who the good teams are. And for the most part, those teams typically figure it out. And there's always going to be a few teams that kind of come out of the water and show you something that maybe you weren't expecting.
Yeah, the Bears right now are my bold prediction hot take, and I would not only say they're going to start hot, but I have them. The bold prediction is they're at least making the divisional round in the playoffs.
That's a bold take. That is a bold take. Ben Johnson seems to be coaching them really hard, and I think that's what they probably need. Right?
I also see Vrabel being hard on the Patriots. I really like that too. So
that is a good one. I do think that a team that probably is going to have the biggest turnaround might be New England. Another season of Drake May with some reps under his belt. Mike Vrabel, better offensive line. Mike Vrabel just not taking any crap from any reporters, basically being like a more fiery Bill Belichick, same mindset, but can back it up if he can actually go toe to toe and fight someone if it ever came down to that.
Do you see? But I don't know if it shows up in my algorithm, but he's strapping on the pads and he's literally telling these boys
I did see that.
Me.
Yeah,
come at me,
and that's cool.
Oh, 100%.
I did see that.
I'm buddy, you cannot get injured yourself. We need you to coach. But I feel like he would use that if he say he tore his ACL doing one of these plays and something like that. He'd use that, come in the next day, just bandage it up and say, boys, if I can do this, we can do this. I'll have to bleep that, whatever. But
we don't. Fine.
It's you know what I mean? It's that that mental toughness. Like he would. I think he would love to get injured just to prove to the guys, like he's that type of guy, is he not?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I love to get injured just to prove to the guys, like, hey, boys, I don't care if you get injured, you're gonna have to play because you can see what I'm doing.
No, I agree. I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch this year for sure because, he's the perfect coach, I think, for their kind of market and exactly for the type of team that they have right now. You know, they're starting to acquire more and more talent over the last couple of years, and they just have a lot of young and raw guys that probably are ready to come in and try to dominate. And they're going to have a tough year, obviously, with the AFC. I think is got a lot of good teams, and they could be one of them. But I think it's going to be really tough to push for a playoff spot in the kind of situation, whether that's within the division. I think most people would take the Bills. And then you're looking at, a wild card spot, and those, don't come easy. So we'll have to see how they play, but I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to watch.
I don't know. You might have a competition for that AFC East.
Maybe. Hey, you never rule it out, man. Every team is one injury away from their season.
I'm not saying the Patriots either. I'm saying the Jets.
Yeah,
Hey,
no, I think
joking.
listen,
I'm
who
joking.
knows, man? I mean, no Fields, but
I think they'll be better.
The Jets suck, okay?
they just don't have a quarterback now.
Yes.
That's the problem. That's literally what you need to be successful.
Tank for Arch. That's all it is.
We'll see.
Hand the keys over to Brick and just let him play Madden GM and just let him do it that way. And, it will be fine. It will be fine. The Jets are going to jet every single year. That's
Watch out for the Carolina Panthers too.
Yeah, I will give them credit. I think that it's
people think the Bucs are going to walk away with that division, right? Maybe rightfully so. But I think the Panthers maybe could sneak in, and maybe if the I think the Saints are going to be terrible in the NFC South. You got the Bucs there. You got the Panthers. Who's the other team?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah, they could be good too. But
Pitts is gonna throw to Penix is gonna throw to Pitts apparently a lot. He said like after like day 2 of training camps, they threw a touchdown pass to Pitts, and he's like, you went up to the reporters, you guys like that? I'm gonna do more of that this season. So fantasy
no one
owners,
has been
get
able
ready
to
go.
No one's been able to unlock Kyle Pitts. I don't think Michael Penix is going to be the guy. So
I mean, that division, you might only need 8 or 9 wins, maybe 10 wins to win that division.
You're right about that.
So
you're right about that.
I think it's up for debate. Obviously, other than the Saints, who also don't have a quarterback. So I don't know what's going to happen. Down in New Orleans, but there's a couple of teams.
Saints are just like fold the season. We're going to 2026.
Yeah, they are. You can probably put that in chalk too, Brandon. I would like to see Carolina do well. It'd be nice to see some of these teams that have been in the basement turn it around. I'm always just sort of rooting for the Jets because they are the Jets.
For the Jets.
I don't know. I want to see them be successful because they've just had nothing, man. Like teams like that deserve some success. I don't see it happening necessarily this year, but obviously if Fields can get healthy, I can't see them doing much, but I think they can do better than in previous years. I'm getting excited. This chat is getting me pumped for the NFL season, but I got to temper my expectations. We have some time. We have some time. We definitely have time before things kick off. But I think that's all we have.
Yeah,
cool.
I think so. It's
good stuff, episode. Boys. We're starting to ramp up. A lot of talk. We might maybe if there's something crazy that happens, we'll wrap it up sort of in the next week's episode or via social. But I think for now, the MLB deadline pretty much is over. So we'll maybe do some more chat about it next week. Otherwise, thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, like, subscribe, leave 5 stars, comment, just kind of get involved with us as much as possible. We always love chatting and hope that you guys love listening to us. So other than that, have a great rest of your week. And thanks again.